In this NVivo 15 for Mac video, I want to talk about how to do crosstab queries and why you might want to do that. A crosstab query checks the spread of coding across cases or the coding across demographic variables. To run a crosstabs coding query, go to the Explore tab, to the Queries button, and the drop-down menu will give crosstab as one of the choices. You click that, and you have a box here where you can choose which codes you want to use in your crosstabs query. I'm going to choose several codes that deal with talking about books. So I'm just going to drag and drop them over there. I'm going to choose talk about books. I'm going to choose ask child questions. And I'm going to choose talk about colors. Now, you should note that whatever order you put these in is the order they're going to appear in your crosstabs table. So if I want to talk about colors to be at the top of that table, I could move it up with the little up and down arrows to the right. Now, I've got the codes that I want to check, and I want to know if there are more female or male students whose families use talk in those ways. So I'm going to come down to attributes and classification, and that's my student classification, and then I'm going to choose the attributes of gender. Now it's ready to run, so I'm going to click Run Query. And you immediately get a little crosstabs table here. Notice that it tells us that we've got 37 female cases and 34 male cases for a total of 71. Here are my 3 codes, and by default, we find out the number of cases that have been coded to each of these intersections between female and talk about colors, male and talk about colors. Notice at the bottom says total unique because it's likely that one of these cases has been coded to more than one of the talk about codes. So there are a total of 4 female cases that have been coded to one of the talk about categories and a total of 5. And you notice that we had 5 would be the total here. So we're seeing total unique cases at the bottom. Now you can change what you're seeing here by clicking on the Results tab. And right now we've got cases coded, but you could see coding references. And here you notice that now everything's going to add up. We do have the case where we have now 5 coding references, where before we only had 4 cases. You can also see a different kind of display in the matrix, that is whether there's coding in that cell or not, just represented by yes or no. So I'm going to return back to cases coded. You can also change what the cell values show. This is the count, but you could see the row percentage or the column percentage. So with the column percentage, we could see that 10.81% of the female cases had something coded in one of the talk about categories. If you want to look at this with color to emphasize where the larger and smaller cells are, you can use this heat map and apply colors to it. If you want to be able to save this query to run it again, then you need to go back to the Query tab and save the query criteria. And they'll go to the query criteria folder, and I'll just call it Talk About Crosstabs. And I'm going to save the criteria. I'll be able to find them again in the Queries Criteria folder. There's the Talk About Crosstabs, the one that we've just been talking about. If I want to save the results of the query, of course I've got to click the Save Results tab. That'll go in the Query Results folder. You can also see what is in each cell. I'm going to go back and show this as a count. And for instance, if I wanted to know what the 3 references were like of the females who talked about books, I can double click on that and it takes us right to those 3 references. If you want to export this crosstabs table so you can use it in other ways, then you want to go to the Share tab. You can export it as here's a spreadsheet, which will allow you to manipulate it and visualize it using a program like Excel or Numbers. You could also use the Print tab to save it as a PDF.